Erik Griffin, first guest.
Oh, am I the first guest?
On the new setup.
No, you had me feeling special for a second, and then you took it right
special,
away.
Man, you're the first guy behind that velvet who's like not either of us.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I mean, we had Aristotle on, I think.
He was our first guest. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long ass time
This is your first real guest. Then.
First real guest. Yeah. First on an Adidas tracksuit. You were breakdancing, and then you came here afterward, you told us, right?
Yeah.
You still in the crew?
Yeah, I just did Electric Boogaloo.
That's why we had you on the dance hour.
Part 5.
Were you in the breakdancing? Did you do that? Yeah, you look like you're in the Rocksteady crew.
So what is this all about?
Oh, man. It's just catching up with my boys. Just people. I like to I like people who I know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe eventually I'll branch off into some people who have cursory knowledge and they're like, come do the pod. But it's just so much easier when you go back a while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've actually rebranded my podcast, Riffin With Griffin, my little plug.
Right.
Yeah, because I realized it just became all about the guest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just became about so whatever big guest in the comedy podcast world that the people already watch anyway.
Yeah.
They just wanted to see another episode of basically that person's podcast, but on my channel. So they would come watch big numbers. And then if it was somebody they didn't know, they weren't watching. So I was
the
like,
next week, the huge drop
Yeah.
off. And then you're always chasing the guest then. It's like they're not even there for you.
right. So I'm rebranding. I just said, so I'm doing mostly solo episodes, occasional guests now, just about me. Get my girlfriend on, get my just do my own thing, and then build my fan base like that because I made a mistake.
And it's so hard getting guests week after week. It's so taxing. And then if they're not fans of you, it's sort of like you're helping all these other people out. But what about Erik?
Yeah, exactly. That's literally the whole dilemma of it. So, but it's fine though. I'm actually enjoying doing solo episodes now. I'm enjoying it because it's just like my brain now.
Also, without stand-up too, what a great outlet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Have you done any of these?
We talked about it a little bit, like
ridiculous shows. I just did another.
You
one.
went out.
Oh, I was in Denver. Yeah, I was in Denver. I did this charity show.
Oh, how was that?
So I haven't performed for Faces for like 6 months. Honestly, I've performed for Toyota Corollas and shit, doing these. You know that Tammy Joe has that Magic Castle show.
I'm not gonna do it.
Did you do it?
No, I did one for the Improv at the Spectrum.
Whoa.
Ian Edwards said he didn't mind it. He said it was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't think so?
Yeah, man. It's like
I'm supposed to do it in October.
It's like it reminds me. It's like a fleshlight. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It seems like it's.
Well, that's what all the shows are that now. Just sort of like. What's hard as a comedian is we're comparing it to the before time. You know what I mean? So our litmus test is the OR
BC,
on a Friday.
Man. BC, before Corona.
Exactly. So I kind of had to learn just as a stand-up. I'm like, I have to let go of what it was and my knowledge and just understand that it's this new thing. And it's not going to compare to that, but to allow myself kind of to enjoy it for what it is.
Okay, but this is why I say to people, like, it wasn't good. Like, don't tell me it was good. Don't. It's. We're just doing that. We're just going. It's like this is terrible. Like I did a show in this parking lot, of a place, and they had chairs set up.
Matt Rife's thing?
Yeah,
I heard that's good. That's no good.
No, it's terrible. No. But what I'm saying is, it's because it's not what anyone would ever do ever.
Yeah.
I would never stand on the back of a truck with a mic, looking at like 17 people spread out. Like, that's not good. Let's stop fooling ourselves. I'm just being a realist. I'm just like, I just enjoy doing stand-up. I miss it. I want to stay fresh. That's why I'm doing it. But you don't got to hype it up to me. Like, when I talk to another comic, they're like, oh, bro, you got to go do the drive-in show. Because, like,
it's at a park.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm on the fence because I'll get offered some of these shows.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot coming in. So part of me is like, should I do it? But then... These are comics shows I wouldn't look twice at pre-COVID.
That's what I'm saying.
But now there's nothing around. I'm like,
But were you rusty when you did that show in Denver? Like, because I found myself the first time I did it, I realized, I don't know my jokes.
Kind of. It's like going to the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if we were doing 3 sets a night, we were bouncing around from room to room in the OR, then going to the Improv, and then going to the Laugh Factory. So it's like... Man, those adjustments you can make on the fly when you're doing so many shows, it's pretty great. You're a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, that nuances is like...
you do it so much, you could be like, I'll just change my inflection.
Yeah.
Whereas I do Denver, I'm like, what was that 10-minute joke?
Yeah, dude. I'm so glad that when I go on the road, that I record sets on my phone sometimes, because I realize the way I did it, I may never be able to do it like that again.
Yeah.
Because of like all the work that I put into making it what it is. So, because then when I listened to it, I was like, oh, yeah. Ooh, I said this and I moved. And I was like, wow, I'm so glad I have that. So my advice to any young comic out there when we start getting back to it is to record yourself. Because you may an infectious disease might come and shut us down and you won't remember how to do your jokes.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I have that recording too. I'm like, okay, that's how that goes. But it was fun, man. Like they did it socially distant. Have you done any indoor stuff yet?
No, I haven't gone on the road and done any of that stuff.
I hadn't either. Like, I'd been staying away. I think when this thing first hit, everyone was pretty paranoid. People treated it differently.
Yeah.
I was pretty good about it. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay home. Not paranoid, but I'm like, I'm not hanging out a ton. I'm not going to big parties. I didn't even want to I didn't travel forever. And then this came along. Enough time had passed. And I had flown to see my parents in Seattle. So I had already traveled and things were okay. I go, all right, I'll do this Denver gig. And the money was decent. Just for one show.
Yeah.
And they just it was in a hangar. It was like an airport hangar, and they had it was just upper crust Denver, just like super rich white people. You know, they're all it's like I was playing for a Bond movie or something. They're all in tuxedos and stuff. Yeah. And the tables are far apart. And again, it's one of those shows that would just be terrible pre-COVID. Like, you know how tall ceilings are the worst for comedy?
I know. The whole thing.
Think about a hangar.
But those kind of shows are already nightmares anyway. The people that think like, you know what we should do for our event? Let's get a comic. And they go, okay, well, what do we do? Well, just put him over there in the corner with a speaking spell. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then he'll be fine. And you just go, and you get there and you're like, but those are the kind of gigs where you go, I'm never going to say to you, oh, this was great. What am I going to say? The money was good.
Yes. But that's the beauty of doing it long enough. You know when something is a pure money play.
Yeah.
I'm not scratching any artistic itch out of this. All I have to do is not lose my mind on stage and pick up the check. I did
one like that in San Diego last year. It was some super rich. It was at a golf thing. It was like last minute. The money was dumb. You know, it was just a stupid amount of money to go do, 20 minutes in front of people at a banquet hall. Yeah. You know?
They're not even listening.
They're not. It just was like, this weird, So I was like, okay, you just kind of you just sing and dance and then you just bounce out of there.
Yeah, you don't need much to put on a good show, but you need them, like a dark room, people kind of close together. Yeah. There's like a checklist for a good comedy show.
They have to see me. They have to hear me.
Yes,
that's number one and two.
Yes, but people who book on shows, they just think, oh, we'll do comedy. It's like saying, let's get LeBron to do basketball at our thing. And he's like, where's the hoop? Oh, you need a hoop? I thought I watched the Lakers game when you do the slam thing. I thought maybe you could do it and do a trash can or.
Yeah. We're going to use that as the hoop. And you're just like, what?
But the money's good enough. You're like, who really cares?
I know. Nightmare. But this whole COVID.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that. Like,
I don't know. I can't get any solid information. So, like, one, I don't look at the news. So, like, just one day I wake up and, you turn something on and it says, California's been on fire now for 3 weeks. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. Because that's how much I'm just, like, off the grid. Like, because you turn on something and all it is just a politicized, especially about the COVID. It's like, where's the solid information? I just want to go someplace where they go, this is what's happening. This is the real curve or whatever that, this is, where can you go for that?
I've had this thought too. I kind of want to, like, next time I do stand up, I want to talk about it. How, remember at the beginning, everyone was listening to Fauci, like, okay. And then Trump stopped listening to him and you saw how ineffective he was. So now I'm on Twitter and they'll say, Fauci says brace for the winter or whatever. Yeah. But he's just like, part of you want to be like, shut up, nerd. Like, even if he's right and he knows everything that he's doing, just anytime you hear something about Fauci, you're like, shut up, nerd. Because he's so ineffective or no one is listening to him. So it's sort of like, it's white noise.
I saw this clip yesterday of Trump talking to somebody about global warming. about climate change.
I saw that.
You know, and they're talking, and the guy's he's really trying to be gracious to Trump too. He's really, it's not like he was talking down to him at all.
Gavin Newsom, yeah, the governor.
He's trying to talk to him, right? And then Trump says, he goes, it's gonna get cooler, you know. And then Newsom says, well, you know, the science doesn't say that. And then Trump says, well, the science doesn't know.
Yeah.
Now, I was like, what? So, like, this guy, you talk about gaslighting, like, your whole base, because he says things in a way where his base might be like, yeah, what does science know? Like, so now science is out the door. So he just said, he said it like science was a human being. You know, he said like, see, science doesn't know. He said, I don't think science knows. You know, and I thought to myself, that is so dangerous. It's literally like telling a 5-year-old that it's okay to like do something dangerous. Like, you're the parent and you would tell a 5-year-old who doesn't know any better or doesn't know anything, you just go, yeah, you know, water is like magic and it makes you able to jump off buildings or whatever is like that. Like, what I'm saying is Trump's in such a position of power that to me it's like it's dangerous to say something that stupid, right?
Yeah. Did you watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
No, I never seen
documentary. That. Everyone's been talking about it last week.
It's really good. A little bit about it. My girl was talking about it. Yeah,
they hit some different points about the power of social, and one of them is just sort of like it's an echo chamber on both sides. Just no one can decide on what the real truth is. There is no objective truth anymore.
I know.
And once society can't agree on what the truth is, it's like going to become unhinged. And that's why we're seeing both sides have never been this divided before.
I know. This is really, I've never seen it like this.
Because and the designers of Facebook and tech and everything didn't do this on purpose. It's built to keep you online.
Yeah.
So the things that are presented, like your Facebook feed is going to be different than some other person's Facebook feed, and you just take it as truth because you're seeing all these articles and there's no checks and balances over what is constituted as news. So people are just, you know.
Yeah, because anybody can say whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, and if it makes money and if it gets shares, that's really the bottom line. So there's no regulation like there is with the telephone companies. And so I recommend it. Social Dilemma.
I watched a little bit of it because I was watching, because she was watching, I caught the end. But I didn't necessarily like it when I was watching it because it was like, it's just a bunch of nerds going like, yeah, the world's going to end.
But it's interesting because
you know what I mean? Like all these guys, like all these kind of like shut-ins.
Yeah. It's going to end because of social media? Is that what it's kind of going towards? Because I read that it's like it's nothing but like the ills of social media and what it's done to affect us in a negative way.
It's the underbelly of social media because it's done some great things. They say it's magic. It's great what it's done for humanity, but then there's this other side that we're just now discovering, you know, like the fact that we can get an Uber in 5 minutes is amazing. Take you point A to point B or Uber Eats or whatever. These are some great things, or connect with long lost people. But the other side of it is you're in this like echo chamber. You can't agree as a society what the truth is, and that's trouble.
It is trouble.
And then also girls on Instagram, like these filters and like plastic surgery, and suicides are up with like young teens because of likes. I don't have enough likes. So the mental problems from social.
I mean, I can't figure out. First of all, I don't understand why anybody would like the people that pay for porn. I don't get.
Yes, they're not. I always had that thought too. Like, why do they make new? Like, there's so much. Like, you know,
like
what I mean?
When I'm in a hotel and I hit that station that's like, you know, adult entertainment. I'm like, who's paying for hotel porn in 2020?
A real old school guy.
Like, he's gotta be super. But then that's on his credit card though. So it's like, what do you?
That's part of the rush.
It comes off as something else.
It says family package or something.
It'll be billed to you as something.
I'm just saying, so you have that, and then you have like, so now you have like people like, if you have a subscription on Pornhub, like I don't get that, you know. So like porn, but then you go into this like weird creepiness of like OnlyFans.
Oh yeah.
So those kind of things are, because what it is, it's the personal psychological warfare you're doing on yourself, because you're saying to yourself, well, this isn't really a porn star.
It's like you're a girl next door.
This is that I get to see. This is who I really want to see naked, is this chick over here. I don't want to see the filthy porn girl.
That's models, that's very airbrush.
Yeah. That's the feeling of it. So, but even with that, I go, why would you pay for that when you could just go to any Instagram? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why this is for me, but when I go to my Instagram, like, now you go to that, like, search, and they show you what, hey, do you want to see, they show all this stuff. For me, for some reason, it's all busty-ass young chicks with big titties, and they're just, and it's always the same thing. They're just looking at the camera, and they're dancing, like, super sexy. And I go to myself, who's that for? Like, who's that for? Like, I don't know if we realize how many strangers actually see our social media. I'm just a random dude, pick up my phone, and some girl who is in a bikini purposely dancing sexy for camera, she's dancing for me. You know what I mean?
I don't know if she's dancing specifically. She doesn't tie that, like, you're watching that. She's just seeing the feedback of likes and comments.
I know, but then we're supposed to, at the end of that. So I'm just saying this is what I'm saying about how social media affects. That's a negative thing too, because, you know, here we are. We don't know this. We don't know this person. We don't know their name. We don't know anything about them. All we know is that they're, you know, in their sexiest getup, makeup, and they're being very, you know, hey, objectify me. You know, then at the same time, you're like, don't objectify women. And you just go, but aren't they doing that?
You want to be able to switch hit
themselves?
You know?
Like, yeah. How am I supposed to?
But it's also, when I watch that documentary, it is troubling to, when you're a young teen, say a girl, and you're just doing a regular photo and it gets X number of likes. And then you do something where it's a little more revealing and it gets way more. I'm old enough to know what that is, you know, if that's me in that body, and be like, okay, this is a dangerous path, but your brain is mush and it's still forming.
I got to be more naked.
Yeah, you just kind of gravitate towards what's working.
Yeah,
so that's the only feedback you're getting socially. Then that's where you're seeing so much of it on TikTok. And
but it's like Instagram and these kind of, they don't even help. That's what I'm saying. You go to this but it's different for everybody.
Does it affect you though, like business-wise, for both of you guys, like as comedians? Because you'll post up one type of comedy video, and you'll see kind of get hits, and then you're I gotta keep doing.
No, for us, the difference between, which is I would say is unfortunate. Okay, let's like the difference between male and female. Like even with male and female comic, you know, it's different, because I don't think we have that added. I think we do have that added thing, but it could be equivalent. What I'm trying to say is, like, let's say you take a really funny female comic, okay, and she could put a setup on the internet, and it's gonna get like equivalent to like just a regular guy like me, looking guy like me. I might put my set on the internet. We might get the thing, but then if you add, you know, beauty on top of that, it's gonna get even more, right? But like for us, like for me, I know if I put a picture of myself just being whatever, that's not, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Stand-up video. I put gaming videos now because I game every day. Erik Griffin Gaming.
Streaming, Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch every day.
Twitch,
yeah. And I'm actually a pro streamer now. I'm not even count myself as a comedian.
What do you play?
Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
You know, and so like I put one of those videos up, more engagement than I've ever gotten.
Wow.
The only picture that's ever gotten me a lot of likes and follows, when you look at the insights, was when I started rocking this beard.
Really?
And this guy took I got a picture, like a professional looking picture, and he put that on. I put it on social media. I got more likes and follows than I've ever gotten from a picture of myself. Wow. You know.
Huh. So your Twitch now, like, is that a pivot from COVID, or were you always doing that beforehand?
Yeah. No, I was doing it just a little bit, just for fun.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that too, because how people handled COVID differently, especially as artists. So we were doing so much stand-up around town, and then the pandemic hits, the store closes, all the clubs, we can't do that anymore. How do you cope with it? Like, what's the early weeks, and then how do you kind of figure out how to change?
Well, the first part is that, you know, you have to, all of us need to how do you define yourself, you know? And a lot of people define themselves as whatever it is that they do. So if you're a model, if you're a comic, if you're an actor, you know, you would always consider yourself, well, I'm a comedian, and that's who I am. That's what I am. Well, what if someone took that away? And that's what happened. You know, so comedy was taken away. So I think for a lot of people, comics, I'm speaking just for myself then, I guess, is that I was like, well, what am I now? Like, what do I do? And so that was hard. But then I said, well, I started gaming. And so then what I actually realized is I have enough goodwill, or I've built up enough popularity as Erik Griffin, the personality, not just a comedian, not just an actor. This is like, this because that's what podcasting is too. It's about people gravitating towards your personality. And so then I was like, well, let me shift into this, because I was already gaming a little bit anyway. And then I just started doing it every day, and then it just started building and building and building, you know? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I got opportunities. Like I played video games with T-Pain, you know? Which was, the money was ridiculous. I don't even understand it. You know, and so I've gotten these other opportunities to in the gaming world. So now I'm in the gaming world, you know? So I said, oh, I actually shifted. It made me feel good. It made me feel like at my age, I switched businesses based off just being me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that made me realize that, like, I don't need to just be like, okay, you're just this. Yeah, you know, so like I realized, okay, so I take me, that I'm an actor. I can also be a comedian. You know, I can also be a gamer. I can also be a podcast person. I can also be, and I realized I could be whatever I want. So you could take that energy and be like, can I take my goodwill into other things? Could I open up a coffee shop if I wanted to? Could I open it? You know what I mean? I'm starting to think like, yeah, that there's boundless opportunities and possibilities that you could pivot into, and you have to realize that you can do it. And, you know. Yeah. I guess sometimes we do fall into the pitfall of being defined by our profession and just thinking that you can't escape it, or you're not even thinking to. Yeah. I guess without COVID, you wouldn't have thought to even kind of bounce into gaming or lean into it this hard. Yeah, but there are people that I think the super successful people, they do that kind of stuff. They're all over the place. You know, they're doing this and that, or they take the one thing they put all their energies and focus into it, realizing that they can use this to capitalize on all of the other areas and venues. And it's just, some of us just get comfortable and a little lazy. You get like golden handcuffs too. It happens to comics all the time. There's comics that making good money on the road, and like enough good money that they're like, well, this is all that I am. They never think to go, why they should write a script or a treatment or have meetings in Hollywood or try to, like, you know, whatever the things that they could branch that off into. They don't even think to do that, because they go, well, I'm making, this is it. So I think we get trapped in that, which is also nothing wrong if you're comfortable. If you're like, this is all I really want to do. I don't want to do that, or I don't want to go off and do this. But if you're happy and comfortable in your situation, it's great. But what if somebody took away that thing that makes you happy and comfortable? Then what would you do? And you have to realize and know that you can do other things. Yeah, that is the silver lining of COVID, I think, is that it's nudged people into directions that they just, I don't have time for it, or I do this. It's really, you're forced to do it now. Yeah. It's kind of sink or swim. It seems like you're swimming. Yeah. Do you miss stand-up? Oh, yeah, all the time. Do you feel like you're more of one thing than all these other things? No, I feel like I just feel like that I realized what stand-up, actually taking away stand-up has actually been great to become a more well-rounded person. My relationship is better. It's because I needed stand-up to like release a certain level of energy and emotions every single night. You know, we really, it's so, you know, cathartic and like therapeutic to bitch about shit. Sure. Just to download all this stuff onto an audience. Yeah. And also at the same time too, is like, and then that feeling becomes intoxicating actually. I went to the Apple store and I had a horrible experience, and I get to talk about it every single night. That's pretty great. Yeah. At the same intensity. You understand? Yeah. You get to relive it. You get to relive it. I get to find new nuanced pieces of it. I love that. The average person, they would have a terrible experience and just bury it, and it would just live in here somewhere. No. The average person has to bury it because they have no one that will listen to them ad nauseum. Yes. Whereas we get paid to relive this experience. How great is that? Point out the ridiculousness of it. Because you could go home to your girl or your brother, your friend, and be like, dude, I got to tell you what happened at this thing. And they're going to be like, what happened? and you're going to be as funny. They're laughing and they're like, oh my God. And you're like, oh, boom. You can't come the next day, bro.
I go, I heard it.
Exactly. People shut you down. They shut you down. People think like, all right, even this just happen when you have girlfriends and stuff. You know, you go, I heard this already. You know, they're like, okay, are you getting you bitch?
You go, but I have a new joke. I have a new part to it though. It's like I have a new angle on it.
But because I'm the kind of guy, I'll pass by a store, and if I had a problem with that store, every time I pass that store, there goes that fucking. You know what I mean? Yeah. I bet that bitch is in there too. You know, that's just our energy that we have. So you take that away. Now what do you do? How do you take that energy? What do you do? So you have to learn different ways. You have to learn how to, and then you learn that, hey, you know what? This isn't actually as important as I was making it, you know, and there's other things going on in the world, and you find new interests, and you get to know this person. If you're in a relationship, you take more time now to be like, hey, what's going on with you? How are you? And you share different experiences. And so for me, the silver lining for this whole COVID experience has been like my relationship is at a place that I don't think we would have gotten without it, you know? Because you either sink or swim with relationships right now. You either realize I love this person, or you go,
I can't stand that person.
I'm going to kill this. This bitch is about to die, you know, because I can't. So, and I'm on, and it was hard at first. That first week was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know?
Pulled up.
Yeah, because you moved in and everything. So it was like, anyways, that's so with stand up, that's, you know, we took that away. So I do miss that. Mm-hmm. But now when I think about it now, I think like, oh, so what is it now for me when I start to do it? It becomes about, I have to make it again about the art.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always about the art at first in the recent times.
So do you see the documentary or the trailer for the documentary on the Comedy Store?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. You're a part of it, right?
Yeah, but I actually don't know if they're going to
use it or not.
Use my stuff or not.
Same here. I don't know. They shot my stuff, but I don't know.
Not even just because of that. Well, I shouldn't even say, but I was talking about people at the Comedy Store, and I was going in for a long time on certain people, you know, and they might cut those people out.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, because they got to piece it together in post to make it make sense.
Because I feel like there's like an attack. I feel like there's attacks on the Comedy Store, so it's weird that they're coming out with this right now.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so much history there with Richard Pryor, Robin Williams. That timeline it's such a storied place. It's an institution, you know. Remember when they were talking about it was going to be a parking lot or something, or they're talking about it going away? I don't think it could ever go away.
Like recently?
No.
This is like back in the day, in the dark ages. When?
But don't be surprised if
you think
if they sell that place right now.
Man,
I mean, why would you keep it? What like
I know.
if you're sitting on that property, which is worth millions of dollars right there. It's like, to me, if it were me, if I own because I don't know if the Shore family owns the property. I think they do.
I think they do.
But if they own the property, to me, I would get with a developer and be like, okay, you can build whatever the fuck you want, but the bottom 3 floors got to be the Comedy Store.
Oh, that'd be, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fine.
You know, so you could hotels, you could restaurants. You can have a sushi restaurant on the roof. You could whatever you want to do. You can have. Let's do it. Let's fucking tear this down and build it back up. And then you have the
Do you feel like it would lose the soul though if you tear those walls?
No, dude.
No.
Nah, come
dude,
on.
Well,
remember how when Tommy left and like there used to be a system where you had to get past and then you had to that went away. It survived.
That's different though.
But that was the core of what the place was.
A little bit, but like the bones of that place are kind of what make it special. You know, the Improv, when they did that remodel, it felt different.
I disagree with you 100%.
The Hollywood Improv?
I'm saying I disagree with all of this, what you're saying right now,
with
the premise of it. The Comedy Store is not the building; it's the people that go there. That's why it was trash when certain people were booking the place because they didn't book the right comics. They didn't have. There's a feeling that was going on at the Comedy Store right now that has nothing to do with the Comedy Store, and they're realizing that right now. It's just a building.
Yeah, it's
the people that are in there that make the building.
So, okay, you know the Hollywood Improv. Didn't you feel a change after they did the remodel? Because it used to be, I felt like it was a different energy.
I think that the change came because of the booker. You know, what's his name? I love Jamie.
Yeah.
You know, but he's an alternative guy. He wants alternative. He wants a guy playing a banjo upside down, talking about some existential bullshit. You know, that's what he thinks comedy is, and I appreciate that. But he was trying to turn that place into that.
Yeah, a little more alt.
No one likes that, like, in that form, like, continuously. Listen, alternative comedy cannot exist without mainstream comedy. That's why it's called alternative comedy. Yeah. So you have to have the base comedy, which is mainstream comedy, and then you have to have alternative to that. You need to know what the alternative is from.
Yeah. There is this concept that I think is lost on a lot of people, even on Twitter and social media, where they look at lineups and they're like, blah, 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 like there should be more alternative, or there's room for everyone in the comedy scene, and audiences go to certain venues for a particular brand of comedy.
Yeah.
This may not work at the Comedy Store. What I do may not work at Dynasty Typewriter on a certain night or whatever. And that's fine, and that's okay. There's a home for everybody. But I think people naively think that you could just plug comics into any venue and it'll work. Just a lot of the people who are shouting like, hey, to change the lineups at the store, which it could be, you know, it's all personal taste as well. But if you just took like Twitter suggestions as to who should be on at the store, they would lose so much money. And it's just a fact of the matter. And vice versa, if you put a bunch of store comics into like Meltdown, let's say, in its heyday, people would stop going to that. They'd be like, that's not why I'm here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's exactly my point too. So it's like, I just feel like when you have a place that's supposed to be an established mainstream comedic place and you try to make it alternative and you realize it's not, nobody wants this, you know? Even some of the same comics from the one place came to another place and it just didn't, they didn't build up the proper reputation to me amongst the comedians. But then someone like Joe Rogan, he goes over to the Improv. He has Joe Rogan and Friends. It sells out.
Yeah.
It's not the building. Okay? You know what I mean? It's not the building. You know, so these people that are always trashing the lineups and they're always like, you need to change this and this person needs to get a chance. It's like, no one's going to come watch that. This is a business. They have to sell drinks, food, and fill up the place so people can buy drinks and food and sell tickets.
But isn't also part of that selling the nostalgia as well? Because the Comedy Store is like a staple in LA history and culture. And if they completely like gentrify it and like refurbish it, remodel it, whatever.
I don't think so. I think that there might be a time where there's going to be a shift, but then the shift will happen and then people will be fine with it. You know? I mean, the Comedy Store went through this like
when did you get
renaissance right now?
I know. We lived through it.
Yeah, and it'll never be like that again in our lifetime. Not while we're like relevant as comics. This is it.
Yeah,
we would like you're talking about just 7 months ago. This was the hottest place to be. Packed shows every night. So I don't care what anybody said. They can say like, well, then you changed the lineups, all this stuff. Why is it packed every night? It's packed every night because people want to see these people, or it's just it's the show's so great that they don't care, or whatever their feelings are. So these people, these fucking shit comics who are tweeting at the lineups and like saying you need to have more of this, you need to have more of that.
Well, it's like backseat quarterbacking.
Yeah.
When people see that on Twitter, they go, "Oh, those people are being crazy." But for some reason, when it comes to art, people feel inclined to be like, "Yeah," if you say, "Hey, Drew Brees should do this more," everyone they ignore it. But when it comes to art, it seems like the Twitter sphere and social media is just like, I agree.
But here's the thing: there are some, like I play Call of Duty. There's some things about that game that I go, how can they have this in the game? This don't make no sense. Why is it still how to get mad about it? And then I think, there's 6 million people playing this game. They're fine. The only thing that's going to change this is if all 6 million of those people go, this is so terrible, I can't do this anymore, and they leave. That's going to make the people go, all right, we got programmers, we got to change this. That's the same thing at the Comedy Store. Yeah. Like, so that shit is just noise.
Right. Money dictates everything.
Yeah, it dictates everything. And it was a vibe and a feeling that was going on that, like, I'm glad that I was a part of it. But I get it, too. It's like, this ain't a meritocracy. It's not a, I mean, this is not like they're supposed to, like, vote which comics are going to be up this week. Because the audience was like, we don't care. This is what the Comedy Store thinks. This is what all comedy clubs think. They think that people are coming because they trust the comedy club. They think, well, whoever the comedy club puts on the stage, I know it's going to be funny, so then we're going to come because of the comedy club. No, motherfucker. That has not been the case. And it's their fault because the comedy clubs tell us what's your audience? Like, are you tweeting about the show? So you want me to fill up your building?
Yeah, they get mad. They go, you're not tweeting about the show.
Yeah, so this is your building. It's your show. It's in a city that you're in, but you want the out-of-town person to come and bring the audience. So then you made it about us. It's never been about the building, ever. You know, that's all nostalgic bullshit. It's all about who is on that lineup. That's who people are going to come see. So no matter what they do, they shut it down, they rebuild. People will be like, oh, they're coming, and then the other people are going to be like, well, this looks better. There's parking now. There's, the food's better. Oh my God, you can order from the sushi restaurant, or you can while you're waiting to get into the next show, you can go eat at that steakhouse on the 3rd floor or whatever the shit is, man.
Yeah.
People will adjust and adapt, and it'll move on.
When did you get into that place? What year did you get
Oh man, it must
store?
have been like 2008-ish.
Okay.
It was before that.
So what was
2005, 2006. It was around there.
What was your trajectory to the store? Like, how did you?
Well,
let's see.
I started at going to like open mics. There was this place called Marv's and Mary's. Actually, it was right around the corner from here, close to this area. It was a little shit open mic. Then I would go to Long Beach. Queen Mary had a show.
Oh, I did that once.
Yeah, that show was crazy. So you would do that. So I was doing that a lot, trying to get into shows, and then I started doing the Ice House had that show in the annex.
Oh, I would do that too. Yeah,
3 shows,
yeah.
3 shows on Friday, 3 shows on
Yep.
Saturday. So so I started to get in there, boom, 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 and then I started doing shows at the Ha Ha. Then I got in at the Ha Ha, and I really got in there. I was hosting the shows. I was like, and then I got a showcase at the Comedy Store. It did not go well. Like Mitzi didn't even.
Oh, so Mitzi saw you.
Talk to me. I'm literally didn't even look at me.
Okay, were you in the OR or the main
room? In the OR.
Okay, how long is the showcase set?
3 minutes.
Okay.
It was terrible. Jay Davis got passed that night. I'm always infuriated.
Yeah.
I tell him to his face.
Everyone has a night though.
Yeah, it was like that kind of night. So he's there. I tried to say thank you to her. She didn't even talk to me, look at me. So, then I was like doing like friends and family and those kind of bullshit shows for over a year until Tommy then got me another showcase in the main room, and at that point now she's sick, but they still bringing her. She still comes to the Comedy Store. So then I had this main room set. It was on Vargas and Kathy's show, and I remember thinking to myself, I ran the light too. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I did like 5-6 minutes because I was like, fuck this.
I love how that's the stage of your career where that's running the light.
Yeah.
At the time,
because
5 or 6 minutes.
No, because it was only 3-minute sets.
Yeah.
So I was just like, nah, I'm doing, I see it, but I'm doing what you know what I mean? And then like I come out into the hallway right by the kitchen, and they were bringing her out, and then she stopped and said to me, "You were funny." And then Tommy comes over and, well, you're passed, and then I had to do but passed. I think he lied to me. I think this is just him. I think because I had to be in the belly room for a while.
Okay.
So I was in there for felt like it was a year. And then there was a night that I'm doing like a friends and family in the OR. It was really late. It was like past midnight. There was like 8 people in the crowd. And I'll never forget this. Steve Trevino goes up before me, and he's mad about his time slot. And he keeps saying it on stage. You got Daddy at 12.
He calls him Daddy?
Yeah, he's like, Daddy's supposed to be at 9 o'clock, And he's really like, So when I went on, I took that energy, and I did a show like it was 9 o'clock.
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't realize, comics especially, if the audience could tell that you're not happy up there, how do you expect them to have a good time? If you're not having a good time on stage, like, cause Tom used to put me up super late. I would go up at 1:30 when you first get past and stuff. Yeah. There's 5 people in the crowd, and a lot of other comics would be like, why am I here, blah, blah, blah. And of course they wouldn't do well. But I would just treat it as like, this is a low stakes situation. This is fun. There's absurdity in it.
Yeah.
And it would just be a good time. And like I was getting to the point where I'm making 5 people crack up. And it's just attitude. If you have the wrong attitude when you're up there, you're not going to do well.
But that was the day. So when I got off stage, Tommy says, "Come sign the paper. You're now a paid regular." So I became a paid regular. And then I was one of the first. They had a group of people that they put on the wall that they hadn't done it in like 7-8 years. You know, but they put me in some shit spot in the back.
Hey, I'm by a drain pipe in the back too.
You know what I mean?
They go, where's your name? They're up here. I go, look low.
Mine, you get vertigo from the blinking light. You can't even see. So I was like, so it doesn't matter, you know. So what I'm saying is that feeling at the Comedy Store is gone. There's no more of that. That's what I'm saying about how times change.
Yeah.
There's no more you have to get past and you have to like go through this process. No, now it's like, what TV show you on? Because you're going to be at the store. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm saying is like there was a era of people that really had to earn that, or we were made to believe we were earning it.
It was like the Marines.
Yeah.
And it was one of the last places that was like that. There was a path to getting past.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to be great, but they could see potential in you and you could become.
You had all that feeling.
Like even some of the people who got past you're like, I don't know why, but then they were a door guy for long enough and then it gave them opportunity to be great. Just to use that gym.
But it built a community. It made you feel like a family. It made you feel like there was some kind of thing going there. So then that's how you felt like a store person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a store guy because I went through this.
Totally.
That's gone.
I know. I got past kind of around then too. Like I'm envious that you actually had that interaction with Mitzi. I never had any interaction with Mitzi. You know, I got past around the Tommy years.
Yeah.
That's when he was kind of like probably bullshitting where he's like, you know, Mitzi saw your tape.
Yeah. He for sure was.
Yeah.
He for sure was. That's what I believe. But that's why I always think that too. For myself, I am glad that I had that one because I believe I was one of the last people to get that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's very cool. I don't have that. You know, I'm attached to that place, but I don't have that Mitzi contact, which kind of sucks. But I got past during the dark ages as well, maybe 2010, I think I got past. And I remember how it was, and it was there was a romance to it, how no one was really, because it was all about Meltdown when I first got past that. That was the hottest show.
Yeah.
And no one was coming around the Comedy Store. So you got to take these huge swings. You know what I mean? When nothing mattered. It's not like there were agents or anybody in the crowd, so you can just really get good. It was a great safety net. And then once it started getting really hot, like Rogan coming back and Adam taking over booking and all these celebrities and stuff, I felt bad for the younger comics because now there's a huge bottleneck. I'm like, good luck getting past.
Yeah, man. It really, I know exactly what you're saying.
And that system that you're talking about, it's there, but to a lesser degree, and it's less about that community because there's just all these heavy hitters. All these famous people are coming back from their ivory tower to perform as well.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't performed for 5-10 years or whatever, and they're like, oh, cool, I'll go back to the store. Like it's celebrity friendly now, which is cool and fun for the fans, but it's a different DNA. And I felt bad for the comics. Like I think they gravitated towards the improv because I feel like the improv nowadays before COVID is kind of the way the store was in the dark ages. Better for fostering young talent.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, but that's bad for business.
Because what about the next generation after these guys?
Well, no, it's just I'm saying it's bad for business. If you run a business, unless you're like a multi-million, unless like Joe Rogan bought the place, then he could say, I don't care if we sell drinks or not.
Yeah.
I don't care what. I want the best talent. I want to groom people. That's an attitude you build, and then that spreads out, and people start to know. Oh, you know, you're gonna see the hottest, and that you build up a reputation that way. That's not L.A. You know, this is about who's on the lineup. Like, what kind of show are you putting on? Who's on the lineup? And it became a thing where it was turned into all of L.A. comedy was turned into like, you know, it has to be Dave Chappelle might pop in, or no one's gonna come to this show. You know, and so it just became a thing. Like the improv was just sad.
Yeah.
You'd be there on a Friday night and the curtain's up. You know?
Yeah.
You know, you just came from a place that got 3 rooms.
I know.
3 rooms are packed.
I remember we would do our rounds. I would do like a hot show in the main room, packed, hot show in the OR, Laugh Factory, standing oh shit. And then you come to the improv and it's like the curtain.
Yeah.
So people who don't know, the curtain at the improv, if the show is not sold to capacity or it's very light, there's a curtain that cuts the room in half so that it doesn't look as sad as it is. It just shrinks the room. So as a comic, when you're waiting for the show to start, you're dreading the curtain.
Yeah.
You're just dreading the curtain being drawn.
Yeah, when you walk in, you go, I always know if it's going to be shit at the improv when I pull up and I can park in the front.
Oh yeah, the meters.
Yeah, if I can pull up and there's a meter spot like there or across the street, I just go, Shit night at the Improv.
It's like right there in front of the club. Yeah. Meter, you go,
oh boy, this is gonna be a nightmare in here. But again, it always became it turned into like who's on the show, what kind of show it was. You know, is it like an ethnic night? Is it like whatever kind of night?
Would you do those?
You never. Well, yeah, whatever, like urban night or whatever. I would do those. You know, so it's like it's so comedy changed. So you know, just to bring it back to what we were talking about, it's just you know, so you know, you have to like change how you expel that energy. And now I'm sitting here thinking, like, when is it going to come back and how is it going to be? Personally, I don't feel like we're going to be doing stand-up and shit for like 2 years regular, unless there's some miracle, you know, treatment.
Yeah. Well, what about the road?
Like Tylenol, COVID comes out.
Some places are doing half capacity. Does that interest you at all or no?
I'm starting to now more now.
Because that's not 2 years out. That's now. Obviously, it's not to the level that it was pre-COVID. But some clubs are operating in the country half capacity.
Yeah, I know it's getting there, but I still feel like that's still, again, half capacity. Like I'm saying, like, you know,
as we knew it,
like stand-ups. I mean, people were out there selling out arenas and stuff, man, theaters and doing these huge tours and stuff, and you know, have people right on top of everybody, and they're just laughing, having a good time. We're not there. That's not going to be like that for a while. Like it's like those people, I don't know, like. And then I'm at a stage where it's like, so I got to go to some comedy club that's half capacity that was already half capacity, you know, before COVID.
You're like, nothing's changed.
Yeah. So why are you changing my money if I'm getting the same amount of people I was getting before? You know, that's so it's like for me. So for me, it's like it becomes this thing where you're like, oh man, it's tough. So I don't know. I just don't know. So it's like. You know, somebody who's like, you know, like somebody like Rogan or those kind of guys who are like, they're doing 8,000 seaters.
Yeah, you feel bad for them.
And they're like, oh, now we only have to do 4,000 seaters. Like, what is it? You know, and I don't even know. But see, I don't know if they're even allowing that.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's what I'm saying. So this is a time for like these comics who've been bitching about not getting spots. This is their time. Go out and do those shows. Half capacity, I don't care.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing I've noticed too, is that's almost the only way you can do your craft these days is to get out of LA.
Yeah, but it was like that anyway, though.
But I liked getting up around town, doing my little guest spots at the store, the Improv, building in 15-minute increments.
Yeah, but I mean that wasn't like, I knew I'm from LA. I was born and raised in LA. I knew I had to leave LA to get good at comedy. I started going like doing road gigs and this kind of stuff.
How often were you doing the road pre-COVID?
You know, 2 or 3 times a month, you know, a weekend.
Quite a bit.
You know what I mean? Like just, you know, so and then it's just, I had a bunch of dates set up. I was ready to start moving and grooving. Now I just go, damn. But it's like, you know, thank God I'm a frugal guy. So like I've always, because I'm the kind of guy, I get a job and when that job's over, I'm like, well, I'll probably never work again. So my money goes into stock market and savings and all this kind of stuff. So I'm not struggling, you know what I mean? And then when this gaming stuff picked up and I was like, wow, I'm actually making a great living, you know, doing this. I was like, all right, maybe this will be what I'll be.
How did that present itself? Did you already have this fan base on Instagram and stuff and they carried over through gaming? Or did you tap into a whole different thing?
Both.
Okay.
Because it's basically like, oh, the dude from Workaholics is playing Call of Duty. That's the novelty. So then they're coming to watch me, you know, and my whole thing is like, when I first started, I'm not good at the game. So it's just the chat interacting with me like, what are you doing, Griff? That's stupid. And then I started to see like, oh, this is actually great. So I would kill myself on purpose. And, you know, I would put off grenades and let it blow me up. And I'd be like, oh, what did I do? And then everybody's laughing and stuff like that. You know, they're laughing at me and stuff. And I go, oh, this is, okay, I see. This is, they like this. They like seeing the old guy not being able to play the game right. But then what's happening now is like, so like when I win a victory, you know, there's like a community feeling of like, you did it. We can't believe it.
It's like putting the equipment manager in the basketball game.
Yes. I'm like that autistic
You're like Rudy?
kid. I'm like autistic kid that hit 12, got 12 points in the fourth quarter. So it's just building up this thing, you know? So, you know, I do this, now I signed up with this company that does like tournaments. They're like a casino. Really, that's what I call them. I said, they're the casino and I'm like the talent that's trying to get people to come to the casino. So I'm putting on this weekly tournament, you know, so, and it just builds a community. I see it. Like, you know, when you go online every day And then, you know, I'll have like between 150 to 200 people watching me every single day, you know, at all times of the day. And then you start to know who they are. They, you know, they're same people, and they're saying things and they're commenting. And it's like you build this community. And I have a Discord, and then they're talking in the Discord, and they're playing with each other. And it's like, oh, this is how this works. It's this communal thing. But it's like, I don't know if I can get it bigger and bigger and bigger. Who knows? You know what I mean?
I think so. It seems like it's the Wild West. Just I keep on hearing rumblings and stuff about Twitch and the whole video game, and there's like so much money in it, and it's so new, and people are trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Amazon has
it.
Well,
Amazon is Twitch. Then what's the other competitor that like Ninja was?
There's no competitor anymore. I mean, Mixer was made by Xbox. Okay, so it was Xbox's way of streaming, but then they decided to go, well, why are we just making it exclusive to Xbox? Because not enough people have Xboxes. So they opened it up to try to compete with Twitch. They failed miserably. All right, they really failed. They lost a lot of money. Facebook bought them. Then they tried to so now Facebook is the challenger. You know, Facebook gaming. You know, but Twitch is still king. YouTube is the king.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says because people still put their Twitch videos on YouTube. Like it's like YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. There's nothing better than them. I don't give a fuck about TikTok.
Really?
About none of this shit. You know
You're
why?
not a believer?
No, because you know why? You know what it says on TikTok? It says, "Do you want to share to Twitter?"
Ooh.
So wherever if you're saying, "Do you want to share to this other thing?" That means that thing is the real thing. Because if it was my app, I'd be like, "Nah, stay here." You want people to stay here? No. TikTok knows. TikTok's like, oh yeah, share it to Twitter, share it to Instagram, because that's where people watch shit.
Are you on TikTok?
No. I tried. I
tried for a little bit. I had some stuff go viral, and then other ones not. I'm not very gung ho about it. Just because if you're not getting success on it, you're like, eh.
Well, you have to be gung ho. It's all about consistency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sure, like after like 10 dance videos, it would start to pick up. You know, that's what it is. You're not consistent. That's all.
I see.
Because it just feels like, well, I already doing this thing. What am I doing? You know, it's just that's the kind of energy.
That's the thing about comics too. We have to be on the bleeding edge of every app. You ever notice that? Like people our age and stuff, they have kids and they don't worry about being on the next app. But it's almost a detriment if you're not on the latest technology. Remember when Vine came out?
Oh, dude, that's why I always grab my name too. Like a new app comes out, I don't care. I just go get Erik Griffin, even if I don't use it. You know, and then you're that guy, you know. But it's like, again, it's that thing I was talking about before about being comfortable and being like, all right, I don't need to do anything extra. I'm comfortable in this life. I mean, our business evolves so fast, we don't even realize it. That's why young people come in all the time. The new batch of comics come in and they got their jokes. You know, they're the ones that take over because the old guys are, you know, you're supposed to be that like I'm supposed to be on a sitcom making a bunch of money and then I go off into the sunset. Right. But social media has made it now that everybody's still relevant. You know, and it's like now we're realizing that that you have to take your personality and you have to take it to this little device, and that's how you're now interacting with your fans. It's no more of like people are discovering you at the comedy club and now they're a fan for life. Yeah. Because their brains are already forgotten you. What set did you do yesterday? Because what are you doing today?
Yes, it's definitely more quantity based.
Yes, it's quantity over quality for sure.
Yeah. I want to get your take on that too, because there was this shift that happened maybe a few years ago where we're kind of stuck between old Hollywood and new Hollywood. There was a way that things were done when we were coming up. There was a blueprint that, you know, I guess back in the day it was doing Johnny Carson and then you're on. You have a career. Yeah. And then later on it was, oh, you do a premium blend or you do a half hour on Comedy Central.
Well, the comedy clubs would introduce you to TV. That's what it was. Yeah. Now it's you have to be on TV to be in the comedy clubs. Yeah. So it's like it's different.
Or not even. It's like you have to be on Instagram to be into the comedy clubs.
Even that now, or have a great podcast, or have like, and then here's the thing though. See, this is the thing that the comedy clubs have. They just was very short-sighted about. Just all they cared about was money. So they were like, okay, so hey, huge comic, or even regular comics, like, well, you know, you don't have a big enough following, this and that. So then it's just about me then. And then these comics, big ones, were like, bye, comedy clubs. Why would I deal with you? It's all about me. Hey, Little Rock Theater, can I buy you out for the night? Live Nation and those kinds of people, they were like, oh yeah, let's get our little venues and we'll get these comics and put them there, as opposed to these comedy clubs who think like comedy was invented at their club.
Right.
You know what I mean? They think like, oh, comedy started here. Who gives a fuck about you, man? You made it about the comic, so now your building is irrelevant. Mm-hmm. And then this internet has made it even more so like that. We're our own entity. I mean, there's people out there you wouldn't even know who they are, but they got 500,000 followers.
Sure. It happens all the time. You'll stumble on someone's account, and then they're huge in their own world.
Yeah, you don't even realize. You're like, wow, this guy just sold out something, and you're like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
I've never seen him do a set at the Comedy Store because no one cares.
Yeah. Or they're different things, and that's what's kind of cool to realize too. You ever have those instances where like an Instagram person or a big podcaster will do stand up, and it just doesn't. It's a different art form.
Well, but here's the thing, though, man. We have to. That's old school mentality. I don't think about it like that anymore. This is, our agent is not called a stand-up agent. What are they called? They're called a PA. What's that?
Personal appearance.
It's a personal appearance agent. It doesn't say stand-up agent. It doesn't say, well, you have to do comedy. No. I'm setting up for you to do a personal appearance at a place, and they're going to pay you to be there. That's all that it is. So if the Instagram star who fucking, can juggle ping pongs, whatever he does, and people love it, he's going to do a personal appearance at a place that holds a bunch of people. It just so happens that comedy clubs are perfectly suited for that. The people come, they do their little thing. I don't have any hate for it at all.
Yeah, not at all.
It's just what I'm saying is it's weird. It's like so they have made it. But the shift that happened, what you're talking about is, because I know some of these people, like I had this girl, Amanda Cerny, on my podcast. She got 25 million Instagram followers, all right? She was talking about how in the beginning, she was trying to be on TV. She was doing shows. And then she said, the look on her face, she was saying this, like she was on a show that was on whatever network. And then she was like, well, what's our viewership? And then she was like, I'm getting more viewership on my Vine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what happens is all those people who were like dying to be on TV and movies, they all were like, why would I do that when I'm making millions of dollars on my own, putting up YouTube videos and Instagram videos and whatever app it is. And now I have sponsorship and all this kind of stuff because the advertisers are like, oh, okay, we don't need NBC. Okay, thank you, because this one person has 25 million followers. You don't even have a show on your network that gets 25 million views. So this is one person away from 25 million people. Let me put an ad up. Hey, I drink such and such water. Right. You guys should try it. It's the equivalent power. So they've all stopped worrying about being on TV. I did Logan Paul's podcast, and I was in a movie that he did. It was a horrendous movie. Okay, I said it on his podcast. It was terrible.
What did he say? Was he like, hey?
You know what I mean? No, because I was mad at him because I was like, I asked you to be on my podcast, and he said no. He was like, oh, I'm doing my own, and I was like, fine. I said, so I went on his podcast. I was like, you said no to my podcast, but you put me in that shit movie of yours that I. But he was like, he don't even do that shit anymore.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, because he was like,
even when they were doing it, I was wondering. I'm like, no, you guys are winning.
It's a mentality that they wanted to be in Hollywood. They thought Hollywood. That's it was like the allure of like, no, we got to be on TV. That's legitimizing us. They've now legitimized social media.
Totally.
What they do is now it's just is important. And now they're realizing, then you look, the dude made $17 million on YouTube. There's no television show he can go on, or movie that he can go on right now that's going to give him that instantly.
Why would he do more work to get less?
And pay agents and managers and it's like, no. So
and have less control over what is image and what is
Anytime Hollywood tries to get into that world, they fuck it up. Like Quibi.
Hey, I'm shooting a Quibi sketch at the end of the month. It's a gig,
Here's my problem with Quibi. I don't want to have filet mignon on a picnic table.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. So they thought, well, if we put Brad Pitt in a show, people are going to be, no, you don't want to see Brad Pitt on this.
Right.
You want to see Brad Pitt on your fucking movie screen and a TV. You want to see, like, because that's what equivalent. I want to see babies petting dogs and the cute kid doing something really stupid.
Yeah, no one wants to watch Dunkirk on their phone.
I don't want to see 1917 on my fucking phone.
And if you do, you just pull it up and you hit pause.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need a company to tell me to watch something for 8 minutes, and you know what I mean?
Exactly. And so I think that was the thing of them trying to be like, well, let's take huge stars and no, they don't want. No one wants to see huge stars. You know what? If I want to see a huge star, I'll go to that huge star's Instagram and see them playing with their kid in their story, and I'm getting that fix that I'm getting from that. I don't want to have to be like, okay, wow, this is a 10-minute drama series I'm watching with.
And it's subscription based.
Right. And you want me to pay? Yeah. You want me to pay for this? No,
and I
sorry.
Can't beam it to my TV?
Sorry. Yeah. And who wants to go through that? Who wants to be like, oh, now I have to like swipe it to my TV? The technology's not there where people the average person understands how to do it. Once you have to like share TV and it doesn't work instantly and then a thing pops up on the TV, it's
how do I get it?
Put the pin in. You're like, I'm out. Netflix.
Like my CISO special. Nobody knew what CISO was. No one knew how to get it. No one wanted to pay for it. And now they're doing Peacock. I don't know how that's going to do. That's NBC's new streaming service. But that's what sucks when you have like a good thing on a platform that nobody really knows how to get. It's just you might as well blast it off into outer space. And now it's on YouTube.
And it just circles. You go, oh, there's a Fahim special. Fuck, it's gone.
You have a telescope.
Yeah. You're like, oh, is that Fahim special?
You just have popcorn. And
you have like 7 people, and you're like, okay, just wait, it's coming.
Every 3 years, it makes the perfect orbit, and you get to see my special. The CISO comment is coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do the acting thing, right? How did you fall into that?
Oh, I always wanted to be an actor.
Before stand-up?
Yeah, both. I always wanted to be. No, because I come from an era where you go, you do stand-up, you do a sitcom, you do your Beverly Hills Cop movie, and you become a star.
Sure.
That was how I always thought it was going to be. So I always wanted to do that too. I always wanted to be a comedic actor.
So what was the path to that? You were doing stand-up?
Oh, it was probably commercials.
Commercial auditions and stuff? Did you book a lot?
At first, yeah.
Huh. What commercials
It wasn't a lot, but
So you would drive out to Santa Monica?
I booked enough, you know what I mean? Yeah. But again, I came through, my era was the era where commercials, that the golden age of commercials were gone. When I first started doing comedy in my early 20s, like in the 90s, commercials, you could book a commercial and live off that shit for 4 years. Damn. That's how much money commercials were paying.
Bobby got in on that.
But then when cable came in, and then they didn't cut the proper deal, so then the people realized, oh, we don't gotta pay these kind of residuals, because so like SAG dropped the ball. They're just one of the worst organizations. They made a lot of mistakes. You know, they made a lot of mistakes. By the way, their biggest mistake was not counting digital. Their biggest mistake was like not taking that on, being like, because they thought, whatever, that's just a fade, whatever that is.
And now it's
always going to be film, you know. So that was their biggest mistake. So, anyways, so I did commercials. I did like my biggest commercial that I made no money on was this. It was a commercial called Swear Jar. It was a Bud Light commercial, and the concept of the commercial was, we walk in. A guy walks into the office and he goes, "Hey, what's that?" And she's like, "It's the Swear Jar." And he says, "Well, what are we gonna get with that?" And she's like, "Probably a case of Bud Light for the." And he goes, "Fuck yeah!" And he puts the money in and that's the commercial. So they beep it. It was just a beep,
Okay.
So I'm walking on the hall and my line's like, "Fuck you, Bob." He's like, "Fuck you, Tom." And that was what they did was, they put it on the internet, and they made it free for everybody to download. And there was no internet contract at the time. So they got the same publicity they would have gotten to do like a Super Bowl commercial, or because everyone was downloading it and sharing it.
Is this pre-YouTube?
Yeah. I think so. I don't know how old YouTube is. No, I think YouTube had just started. No, YouTube was going on, but still, it wasn't something that people were like. It wasn't monetized
I feel
yet.
like Lazy Sunday put YouTube on the map, right?
What was Lazy?
SNL, or were people using it way before then?
I have no idea, but I know that at the time it wasn't monetized yet. So they just were getting this free. Everybody was like, it was on. You could go to Bud Light website, download Swear Jar, and people were just sharing it on all their social media platforms, and it was on Facebook. But cut to the actors.
You saw nothing.
We got screwed, and it was also right after Janet Jackson's titty popped out at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that mistake. Can you believe what a mistake?
So we turned. So they were all like Puritan after that. They were like, we can't put this on TV because it's too risque or whatever. So that changed. But that would have been like a $100,000 commercial. So and then they even did and then the commercial won Emmys. They used it in advertisement classes because people were coming up to me like, "Oh man, you're in that commercial." I was just
Do you ever get recognized from that commercial? Like nowadays?
No, because I was like so fat back then. I don't even know. Not that I'm skinny now, but I was like super fat back then. I don't. Yeah, it's such a quick blip, and people don't remember that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I've done a few commercials. I did like a McDonald's commercial. I did I don't even remember all the commercials, but I wanted to be an actor, and then I just.
So what was the big was Montez?
Workaholics was the
Montez
big.
Was the big
that
thing?
was my first big thing.
What was the process for that?
I just went on audition.
Oh, really? Did you know Adam from stand-up?
No,
though?
I just knew him from stand-up, but I didn't know.
But you saw him at the clubs and stuff.
Yeah, but briefly. I always say
so not enough to have an in or anything, really.
No in at all. Funny thing too is that I just seen him at the Brea Improv a week before.
That's good.
And he goes up and does his set, and I'm like, he gets off stage, and I'm like, keep doing, hey youngster, keep doing your, you know what I mean?
There's so much in this town though. Like that happens so often where you're hey, keep at it, and there's he's already got a show in the works I don't know. Yeah.
Cut to I walk in the audition room and there he is.
Do they have the treats on the coffee table like the strawberries and there's watching?
Yeah, dude. He's sitting over there and I see him and I think to myself, I wonder if he's interning. It still didn't register to my head because I'm still old school.
Yeah.
I don't know this kid.
Yeah.
He's not that funny on stage to the point where people in my estimation of what I come from, killed that audition. You know what I mean? Had to audition 4 times until they finally, and part of it was they were nobodies. So they didn't want somebody who was a somebody being that part. So that was part of the reason why I got it too.
Oh, I see.
So then the rest is whatever. It's just once you get on one thing, nobody wants to be the first, but everybody wants to be the second. I've always
found that too. Yeah, the first is always the hardest. The first late night, you get so much resistance and it's so hard. First anything, and then once you do one, you become a guy who has done the thing. So then it's almost like a shorthand for whoever holds that position as a gatekeeper. Yeah. They go, oh, well, someone has already greenlit it, so we can let him do the other thing. Yeah, man. But that first one
was the
hardest.
And I never forget the first table read for Workaholics. 7 people walked up to me, oh, man. I they were all taking credit. 7 people took credit why I got the part.
Sure. People, they love doing that.
I know, and I'm just oh, thank you.
You just got to lean into that.
My God,
people love to take credit and ownership. They go, run with it.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things. And then after that, again, just everything.
So what's it like post Workaholics? Is it much easier? Is it more
offer
based?
It's just as hard. It's just as hard because once you do because this is what happens to Hollywood too. So let's say you do a part and you're you dance in that part, right? Now they only think you can dance.
You get typecast.
Yeah. You only think you can dance. And I'll never forget. I go to this audition, and it's just the same casting director, So they got me an audition for this other part, and before I go in, he says, "Hey, you know this isn't Montez, right?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, how insulting."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How insulting, and that's how they are too. You can only do one thing. So now I'm this wacky, crazy character for 7 seasons. So that's all he is now. That's all I am. Oh, Eric can only do the wacky broad,
I always think about that. I was watching an old Family Matters, and Jaleel White is just so good as a kid doing Urkel and doing all these characters on that show. And you could just tell he's just a supreme talent. And doing that show for so long, it just sucks because someone that talented is the curse of being that character for that long, you know.
But then at that time, though, at least you're being paid. Like the guy that plays Sheldon on
Big Bang,
I don't give. If I'm Sheldon, I'm like, yeah, I don't get to do anything else. So, you mean that $100 million a season that you got? So that's the consolation for him. And now he can do whatever he wants. Now he's like,
enough time has passed.
Enough time has passed. Well, even it doesn't even matter. Now he could accept whatever role he wants. I saw him in a dark ass he was playing this really dark character. He was playing like a manager. He's playing like a gay manager who's being really inappropriate with his clients, but like dark shit. And I was like, good for you. Like he's like, but at this point, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So the problem now is, you think I was making a ton of money at Workaholics? If I was only doing Workaholics at the time that I would have to get a day job. That's how little bit of money they paid.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't until like season 3, 4 that it was like, oh, I'm making real TV money, and even then it wasn't a lot of money. You know what I mean? In terms of like, you know what I'm saying? So then that's when it was like, oh, I'm I'm an actor. I'm a working actor in Hollywood, you know? So then it just takes time. You have to get, all these little things have to happen, you know? So then, like I'm Dying Up Here was just a fluke night at the Comedy Store.
Yeah. So how did that come to be? So I'm Dying Up Here. It's that show on Showtime.
It's actually on Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime now. Check it out. I loved it. A lot of friends are on that. Santino's in it. Al Madrigal. It's sort of a romanticized version of the Comedy Store in the 70s, right?
Yeah, but it's a fake club.
It's like loosely based on the Comedy Store.
Yeah, but I just at the Comedy Store one night on a Tuesday.
So you're just coming in to do a set.
Yeah, I'm just coming in to do a set. Every other night, Adam says to me, hey, man, Jim Carrey's here.
Damn.
My first thought is he bumping me?
Yeah, that's how jaded comics are. Yeah. Like, we just want to do our set, and you'll say some huge name. You go,
you don't understand.
Bumped.
I was furious. Because I was thinking to myself, this motherfucker's made it, dude. The fuck is Jim Carrey doing here at the club, trying to do comedy at this stage in his life, taking up my precious time? I go on stage, man, like I just fucking, I had a really good set that night.
Yeah.
Come to find out, no, it's Jim Carrey and the production crew and the director and writers of this and the director of this show. They're coming to like scout comics. I got an audition the next day, and 3 weeks later, I was on the show. So it's just, that's one of those moments where it just happens.
Was Santino on the lineup that night too? Is that what they were doing? Or
I don't know if he was or not. Maybe, I don't know. But he already had his own in for whatever else. And then it was like the same kind of thing where it was like, I had the first audition and they were like, listen, we know you're funny. We know you could be funny, but we wanted you to be like more grounded. It's because it was a dramatic show, which I didn't even realize.
Yeah, it was like a dramatic angle on comedy.
Dramatic, you know what I mean? So I did that, I had to audition for I remember the callback I had the test. I had to test for Showtime. So I walk into the test. First I walk into the meeting room and I see Santino.
Yeah.
We're like, what up?
Yeah, that's gotta feel good when you see a familiar face.
Pow. The other guys, they're just stressing out, and him and I are just fucking clowning and having a good time. Then I walk into the test, I'm feeling confident, whatever. And then I see this headshot that they're using. My first thought, why are you using that headshot? That's what I said. So who gave you that? This is like, I don't even look like this anymore. I'm outraged. I'm really flying off the handle because I'm having but I'm poking fun. I'm just like having fun. And they're laughing. And then the head of Showtime's like, yeah, what's wrong with this headshot? And I go, dude, this was like 20 years ago. And then I go like this, you know what? Let's just do the audition.
Like, I'm over it. I just want to go.
I am over this. Let's do the audition and get this done. They called me that day to tell me I got the part. You know what I mean?
That's the best.
So it was like, it's just one of those, you don't know. So then it's just a dramatic show that goes for 2 seasons and they cancel it,
But that's still pretty good. 2 seasons of something is still a win.
I wish it was one more season. I think I needed one more season, then I'd be working more right now, Yeah. And then I did the Blunt Talk on
Was that
Stars.
the Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart show.
What's
which
he
was
like?
funny,
Is he cool?
funny. Oh, the best.
Yeah.
Just that dude is something else, man. Just a real great dude. But even with that show, I auditioned for a part. I didn't get it. But the guy that writes the show, he was like, he said to me, I saw you at the Improv. That's why I wanted to see you. I might find something for you. Because I didn't get the part.
Yeah.
But I was told that later. He was like, then he said to the, and I was like, okay. You know how they always say that? Like, oh, you're really funny. Or maybe, but Sure enough, though, I got like a little part. So the part I was in, like,
my burrito's ready.
I was in a, what do you call it? I was like in a Sex Anonymous class with Patrick Stewart. That's the scene.
Oh, cool.
You know, so I do the scene, you know, I do my, whatever my funny little scene is, you know, and then like Patrick Stewart walks over to me and he's like, says, "Oh, you were so funny," and the thing, you know, and I'm looking up at him, you know, and then like he walks away and then like, I don't know what to do. So I turn to the guy next to me and he's looking at me like,
like you've made it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh my God," and I was like, "Right," you know what I mean? It was like such. This is the same thing that happened. You know that time that where Chris Rock walked up to me and you were standing right there.
Yeah.
It was just like that.
Wow.
It was just like that. So like, you know, and I'm like, I look at this guy and I'm like, wow, that was great. So I finished the scene. Everybody, the creators, like, "Oh, thanks, Erik." You know, I drive off. I get a call. They want you to come back to set because they're gonna write another line so they can bring you back into the show. Then turns out I came back next season, did 6 episodes.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they wanted me to do more, but the other show wouldn't let me.
Oh.
And it was just
I'm dying up here?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, I'm dying up here. Workaholics. They all were like, "Yeah, you can't." And I was like, "Well, fuck you guys."
Yeah. They just like having the exclusivity. Like we want the option.
The exclusive. You know, my favorite moment for me with that was because, like, first of all, Workaholics cost me, like, I remember I had this college gig, $20,000. They switched episodes, so I couldn't go do it. You know, and I'm like, and they were just like, "Well, you know," and it's like, oh fuck, really annoying, right? Don't let me do a bunch of shit. So going into the final season, they cut our pay, not the guys. They cut everyone else's pay. They raised the guarantee, but they raised the money per episode, but they cut the guarantee in half, which is like a pay cut.
Yeah.
So that was like, but the only consolation was I had no exclusivity.
That's nice, right?
Right. So I was like, all right, I'll go get this free money. Because that's what it ended up being. It's just free money. I could just go do Workaholics, do 5 episodes, and I'm out, right? I'll take that money. But then I booked I'm Dying Up Here. And they had exclusivity. Mm-hmm. So there was this episode that they wrote. It was called Bill and Tez Excellent Adventure. And they needed me all week.
Sorry.
They had to move the episodes.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, now you know how I feel, bitch. You know what I mean?
I love.
Wait, hold on. What was this Chris Rock story?
Oh yeah, go into that.
What happened to that?
I selfishly know the story, but I'm sure people would love to know.
I mean,
It was a magical night at the Comedy Store.
yeah, just one of those nights at the Comedy Store, and, you know, and then like, so I knew Chris Rock was there because he was supposed to go up, and I believe he was going to go up after me. They were saying.
Was it a surprise appearance, or
Yeah,
you guys kind of knew?
He'll just pop in.
Yeah, he'll just pop in.
Okay.
But apparently he had some people he wanted to watch him, so I get a note, bring up somebody else, because I was told I'm gonna bring up. So I had to bring up somebody else. Or anyway, I get out, I have a set, I'm killing, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? I walk off, I go talk. I'm standing there with Fahim and who was that other guy? I think it was Nick. This guy Nick. Just saw him the other day. Young Jewish comic. You know what I mean? You don't know him. You don't know him like the way I know him.
Okay,
But so Fahim's here. The guys, this guy's here, Fahim's here, and we're having a powwow.
We're just talking in the back hallway or by the door.
Chris Rock comes out the OR. He looks, he sees me, and he beelines over to me and stands like he's here. Fahim's here. This guy's here. And then he just starts going, "Man, you were really funny." Got the fingers and everything. And he's just like going in, like having like I mean, it blew my mind, you know? 'Cause he just was like, and then I was trying to have a normal conversation, like, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's asking me, like, where are you from? He's asking me all these things and being like, all right. Then he just walks away. And then I just look at Fahim. Swear to God, just like that. I go,
What just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah. I love the having to play it cool in the moment.
Yeah, dude. Because what are you supposed to be like?
And then, all right, see you later.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
just
bro.
pivot.
I just pivot. Like, did that just happen? Because this is like one of the dignitaries of our craft. This is one of the guys you would go if you had to pick top 5 comics
to like you,
or whatever. This is one of the guys. This is like everybody's, you know. And he's saying, and he's giving me. So I was like, I felt like I won that night. I was like, you know. And then I come to find out later, You know, like, yeah, he's sitting in the bag with Spade, and they're watching my set, and they're just laughing and having a good time. I know this because Chris D'Elia told me. He was like, yeah, man, they were really enjoying your set. You know, it's like, and it's a little bit of like, you want these guys to watch you and like you, that kind of thing, you know. So other people were like, yeah, dude, what Spade was doing, you know. And I'm like, hey, you know, what am I supposed to do? If I had known that when I was on stage, I probably would have got
totally.
fucked up.
Well, that's the magic of the Comedy Store. It's just such an organism. People come in and out, and it's dark. There have been several times where I'm performing and they say so-and-so's, and I'm like, oh, wow. That, you know, like, I'm glad I didn't know that. You're just doing a set.
Dude, I had another time. I've done some shows with Tim Allen. So, like, this girl I know, she hits me up. She says, hey, can you come? I want you to do a set because I want you to do, I want you to go to his regular opener. So I want you to come to Vegas, do this Tim Allen show. You have to wear a suit. He's real particular. So I had to do a set at the Laugh Factory first. What I didn't know is I was auditioning for Tim Allen. I thought I already got the gig.
Yeah.
So I'm on stage, loosey-goosey. Yeah, I walk up, Tim Allen's he's a down-to-earth dude. Like, he's like, you know, he's going. And then after that, I did like 3 or 4 shows with him in different places. And he's just, every time I see him, he's just a cool dude, you know? But it was like one of those kind of things where I didn't know I was auditioning.
Right.
You know, same thing. Even if I had known, like, let's say I know Adam it was his show. If I had known going in, I might have had oh no, I was talking to him the other day, and what will you know, what do I do? You know what I mean? So it's just like, you never know. You just be ready is the thing. And that's what I didn't like about the Comedy Store. This is just a small critique.
Sure.
For the last 6, like, you know, before
Towards
COVID,
the end,
was the point of like, oh, you have to do a show every night. There's no learning here. There's no taking swings, like you said.
It's the hits.
Yeah, you got to give the greatest hits every time because you never know. Somebody might walk up and be like, oh man, Spielberg was.
You're not gonna try your new stuff in front of Spielberg.
Yeah, right? You can't try. You know what I mean? So it just became that kind of thing.
Yeah. What's interesting about Workaholics, or I found this hanging out with you, is the demo. You know what I mean? Didn't you have that story where like you were with your girl one time and then she wanted to go to a place and you're like, oh, you don't want to go to that place?
No. This was. I wasn't even with my girl. I was with some friends of mine.
Okay.
I'm in Vegas with some friends of mine. These 2 model chicks that I know. Right? They're just friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is before my girlfriend, just in case she's watching this. And she goes. These girls go, hey, we're gonna go to this local bar, and I go, I don't think this is a good idea. Okay, I'm not like super famous. I'm 1 out of 50 people go, oh, it's Montez, right?
Yeah.
But in Vegas, it's different.
You're the Pope.
It's different. It's like, it's just, it's more. It's like 1 out of 5. You know what I mean? It's still a lot of people are like, oh man, what? And I said, and it's a bar. It's a bar. That's the age demographic. I said, it's not gonna be fun. You're not gonna like this because I don't drink, so it's not, you know, sure. And they're like, because they're hot shit. Like,
yeah.
You know,
oh, this is their element.
Yeah, this is like, oh, are you kidding me? You think you're not that famous? That's like their whole thing, right? Okay.
Did they say that?
But that was the vibe.
Okay.
It was the vibe. Like but because it was like you're gonna be fine. Like you know what I mean? Like nobody watches that show type of vibe. Yeah. All right. Sure enough. It's like,
what happens when you walk in?
All these kids just nonstop. Can we take a picture? Oh, and I would go like this. Yeah, she'll take a picture for you.
You made her hold the camera.
Yeah, I say she'll do it. To the point where they were like, then it was like, he's busy. You know, they became security, and nothing makes a hot chick more mad than when a regular looking guy like this gets more attention.
Gets treated like a hot chick. All right. So you were doing stand up, and then didn't you take a break for a little bit?
I don't even count it as taking a break so much as I count it as I wasn't making it.
How long were you doing it?
Not long.
Like what?
You know,
a few months?
Not even. No. It was like let's say there was like a 2-year span where I thought I wanted to be a comic, but I didn't know what you're supposed to do. So you go to 8 open mics every 6 weeks. You know, you're just like, you don't know what's going on. You know, then every open mic you go to again, you're like, I just saw these people. Like, is this what it is? How do you get in at the clubs and stuff? So I didn't know. I was just young and stupid and arrogant and had no idea what to do or how to do it. You know, so that's why I don't even say I take a break. I just wasn't doing it. It wasn't until later that I realized, oh, I do want to do this. This is what I want to do. And then I took the time and initiative to be like, okay, how do you do it? Then it turns into this whole process that I was like, oh, so you can't just go to a club. So you can't just be funny. It was so much more than that.
Yeah, there's work and there was a way to do it. Having done stand-up for so long, don't you still encounter those people who are like, yeah, I do stand-up. I go up like twice a year. You go, what are you doing? You're not doing stand-up. You're just doing a victory lap, or you're doing like stand-up fantasy camp.
I don't even. What I can't stand, for instance, it's like if somebody says to you, "Hey man, how do I get in at the Comedy Store?" The fact that you're even asking me that question, I'm out.
I know.
I'm out.
I know.
Because you're asking me, "Hey, how do you become a cardiac cardiac surgeon?"
Done absolutely no work.
Yeah. How do you become a fireman?
Yeah.
How can I start working at the firehouse next week?
Aren't you amazed by the level of delusion that exists within the world, especially with your DMs or people being like, I remember I booked this MTV disaster date show where you're like a bad dater. And I would get the DMs like, hey, can I be on it? Or how do I get on it? Can you help me get on it?
Yeah.
And just me being me, I would never fathom ever doing that to someone. I would never hit up an actor and say, how do I take some initiative? Like, don't just go to Brad Pitt and be like, hey, how do I do what you did?
Yeah.
Read a book, do a Google search. Like the laziness of this like so-called performer to say, hey, how do I do it?
Even comics are like that. I used to hate when a comic would be like, hey, how do I get in at that club? You know, hey, who books that? What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like send an email to the like, why are you asking me? Just it tells you who the booker is. Make contact with the booker. Send them a tape if you want.
It's as opposed to like, it's like if someone that I don't really know, too. It's always somebody you just barely know, barely interact with. They want you to like, hey, how do you get in at this thing? Not even saying like, because even a question of being like, hey man, I'm trying to get in at can you put a word in for me?
Yes.
Or like, there's a certain lingo that you know. Oh, this person's already made inroads, and they're trying. This is the last step. You might help push them over the edge, as opposed to somebody who hasn't done shit.
Right.
And wants you to. People just want to skip steps, man.
Yeah.
That's all they want to do is skip steps.
Yes. And that's kind of the beauty of stand-up. What I love about it in terms of all forms of entertainment, it's the one where you could skip the fewest amount of steps. Or you can't skip the steps. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you can cut around bad acting. You can do all these tricks with other forms of entertainment. But stand-up, it's just the person on the stage in front of an audience. And you only get good by repetition and you got to put the hours in.
Well, the problem is, though, is we talk about stand-up. But if you really think about it, though, stand-up just in itself, not a lot of people really care about it. It's not that lucrative.
Yeah.
In terms of like, you know, how we're talking about the art. Like that part of it, no one gives a fuck about that.
It's just because we're so embedded. We romanticize it.
Yeah, we romanticize it for sure. Because really, what it's about is like, hey, attractive young dude, you're good looking, you're charming, you got some good personality. You're not a very good stand-up, but it doesn't matter because no one really cares about if you're a good stand-up or not. Let's get you out on this thing. Next thing you know, he's doing this and that and whatever. And, you know, it's only comics themselves who hold the standard of stand-up up to this high standard.
Yeah.
Because that's why we get mad when we look at like, what? How did that?
It's like being really into muscle cars or something. And then someone gets a Prius because it suits their life or whatever.
Right.
You're like, but the muscle, this block engine, we're just so specific on this because it's our life. And we forget that there's a large swath of population.
By the way, even with that analogy, even to take it further, it's more like we're like that show that builds the cars, you know?
Yeah.
And we want to build the car, and there's a way you build the car. Mm-hmm. There's a way you do it, and you have to use this. And then these people come in and go, well, yeah, but the car is built already.
Yeah. They just care that it drives.
Yeah, they just want does the radio work?
I had this epiphany, too, where I thought about comedy clubs, and this is a quote I came up with that I love. It's the average American is too busy to have taste. You just have to be good enough. So take a comedy club somewhere. The average people who go out, they don't know the difference between like a Bill Burr or another like good comedian, let's say, you know? Like we can see that delta quite a bit. Like, oh, what Burr's doing is extraordinary.
Right.
But to them, they just had a good time. They went out, they got a babysitter. They had some chicken fingers or food, and they had a good night out.
Yeah, no matter what jokes.
No matter what jokes. So we put so much credence and like integrity into this like little difference right here. But the average American doesn't really care about that. They just know they had a
sure
good time.
Don't.
You just have to be good enough.
And then we're sitting here mad while Hollywood's moving right past us.
Yeah.
Because they don't care either. You know, they honestly don't care either. They don't really care. You know.
I think the growth is getting past mad and just understanding for what it is.
Yeah.
Because if you sit in the mad and anger and all that, it's bad. No,
I was in my early ages of doing it. I used to like hate watch half-hour specials. You know, I would just be like, especially when it'd be a year I got rejected. Mm-hmm. Then I'm looking at these half-hour specials like, what? This motherfucker? Yeah. You know, but that's not good energy.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? It's not good energy, but that's, what you do. That's just, because it's so,
I think early on, it's easier to fall into that pitfall of why did he get this, or I'm better, blah, blah, blah. But I think you do it long enough.
You know why they got it now.
You know what? Yeah. You can see the Matrix a little bit, it's okay, and there's room for everybody, and it'll happen so often. You can't be at an 11 your entire life. You kind of become zen about it because you see it happen so much. You go, oh, this isn't an attack on me. This is just a way of the world.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Especially, and even more so now when you have algorithms to deal with now.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. They have this analytics that they can go to and be like, well, this person gets this many downloads, or the people like this and they want to see this, and it's like, it's so funny. Let me tell you something else that's weird about stand-up too, is that, we're a youth obsessed culture.
Yeah.
We're just youth obsessed. It's like people got to be young. Who's the who's the youngest person to do stand-up? We're like, oh, this is what we want to see. It's garbage, To be really great at stand-up, you have to live. You have to have lived. It's the rare person. And even that person who you could say, well, he started at this age and he was great. He wasn't as great as they are in their 40s, late 30s. It's like that's when you've lived. There's a certain mentality that it takes. That is contrary to what they want to show on television and that kind of stuff. So it's like, and there was a time when that was okay, 80s, 90s, when you would, like, Tim Allen would get a show, and what's his name, King of Queens.
Kevin James.
Or
Ray Romano.
You were giving guys, like, now they're dads, and they're going to be a big family show, and they're funny, they're hilarious, they're 40.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, oh, this is it. This is the cultivated thing. We live in a society now where that they just don't want that. They don't want that. But they want what the 40-year-old gives. They want the 40-year-old stand-up ability in a 20-year-old. And they're trying to jam that down our throat. And it, for the most part, does not work, right? If you're a comic looking at it, you're like, well, what is that? But like you said, people will look at a 22-year-old person doing like just basic jokes.
Yeah.
And they go, that person's cute. That woman's pretty. She's young. This is good enough.
It's almost like a stock analyst.
Yeah.
They go, oh, there's a lot of potential here. Or we can make a lot of money off of this if you project it over however many years. Where it may not be at the level, say, of you or, like an older comic, but they're like, if we'll make more money off of this in the long term, and if we build it up especially, too.
Well, people don't really care. I mean, comedy's like digital sound, man. If you talk to a sound engineer, they will tell the worst thing to ever happen was the MP3. It's such a degraded quality of sound. People don't care.
Yeah.
They just don't care. You know what I mean? They really don't care. They don't know that like a WAV file is the proper file. It's going to be like 40 gigs. That's why they were on CDs. It's like, you know what I mean? Like now they do not care. They're accustomed to be like, oh, I don't mind that. This sounds great to me. You know what I mean? So that's how they feel about their comedy too. They don't care about constructed this thing. They just, hey, what's the vibe? What's the energy? Do I like looking at this person? What how do they make me feel? And that's all that it is. And we just have to accept that's all that it is.
And you do realize that there's room for everybody too. And what's great about like this and like your podcast, and people can find an audience. I remember, Theo, when we were bouncing around doing shows, and he's a funny guy, but like wheel spinning a little bit. and then doing the podcast and building his own thing, because Hollywood would mess with him a little bit sometimes, but not really in a major way. Same with Schultz. He's a funny guy. No one was really messing with him.
Yeah,
he would do a thing here and there, and now like they're all after him now.
He's an example of like he don't need any of them.
Yeah.
He's carved his own thing, his own niche. He's up over 1 million followers on Instagram now. He's doing that thing that he does. He's got his own. He's like, you know what? I can make my own money.
Yeah. Same with Theo, and it's really inspiring to see that. Just to people take control of their own careers instead of lamenting the fact that they're picking a 22-year-old to do traditional Hollywood when, hey, YouTube is for everybody.
Yeah, dude.
You know, no one's gonna prevent you from hitting the upload button.
Yeah,
and you can carve out an audience.
And the problem is that as a comic, we always think there should be quality control.
Yeah.
And there isn't. There's no quality control, so it's like you just go, okay. You just have to you just go with it, you know.
Yeah. But you want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, it's just Riffin with Griffin, and then you can catch me gaming, Erik Griffin Gaming. I have 2 channels. I have Erik Griffin Gaming on Twitch, and then I have Erik Griffin Gaming on YouTube, where I sometimes funnel the videos to there. And that's just basically what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
You know, I got two movies out, actually. The Sleepover on Netflix, which is a family movie. And I was in this Pauly Shore movie, Guest House.
That's doing well, huh?
Yeah, it seems to be doing pretty good.
That's
you know?
awesome.
I looked at it, I watched it, and I was like, oh, Pauly and I are actually kind of funny. We're funny together.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this is funny.
Man.
It's a fun little movie, and you just go, it's just the movie's called Guest House. It's basically Pauly Shore living in a guest house, you know? I don't care what his name is in the movie. It's Pauly Shore living in somebody's guest house, and it's like, he's great. And it's like,
you forget, man, he was a bona fide movie star, dude. Growing up,
yeah. He actually. I hope this is a resurgence for him. You know what I mean? So
I was talking to Andy, you know, because Andy manages Pauly, and I do think that he's due for like a legitimate comeback. You know, because it's easy to put him in the Pauly Shore camp or like, but he's been in that for so long. And he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
I want him to get the John Travolta treatment.
Yeah, me too. It's so funny you said that. I was just about to say he needs his Pulp Fiction.
Yes. I've always thought that.
Yeah.
And I hope that comes soon for him.
Yeah. So
but he's great as his
right. Even if he does these
life is fine.
These crazy movies.
Selfishly, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
That type of a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
But check that out. Also check out I'm Dying Up Here.
Yeah, that's on Amazon and even Workaholics. It's funny how people are watching Workaholics for the first time.
Really?
Still, because it's on like Hulu or something. And it's on Hulu.
My brother loves that show.
Yeah, people are catching it. So I still got people who are like, oh man, you're on that show that like I was like, oh yeah, it was 8 years ago.
And then Insta and all that.
Yeah, at Erik Griffin with a K, ERIK.
Oh man,
I watched. You had a cameo in that Adam Sandler film.
Oh yeah,
Murder Mystery or
yeah.
So explain the connection on that.
What?
Kyle, right? Kyle directed it.
Oh yeah. Which is from Kyle was on Workaholics. Kyle's the creator of Workaholics. Is the director of that. He calls me and he's like, yeah. He says like, hey, I got this part in this Sandler movie, and I was like, okay, you know, because he's like, I think, you know, so I didn't hear from him.
Yeah.
Then I'm doing this independent movie at the time, and he calls me. He's like, Erik, you got to come do this movie because apparently they told Sandler about me, showed him some of my stand-up clips.
Oh, wow.
And then he was like, yes, get him.
Oh, cool.
You know, and he's mad. And then, but I wasn't available. So then, you know, Kyle's like, we got yelled at. That's what he says, you know. And in my mind, I could just see him, Sandler going, get him! You know, so then like we worked it out.
Yeah.
I flew to Montreal, and I'll never forget that too. So the first day, you know, I'm doing the stunt thing, whatever we have to practice, and then there's like a dinner, and Kyle's like, all right, well, I'm going to this dinner, and he was like, then he calls me, you're supposed to be at the dinner.
Oh.
I walk in, you know, the whole room. You know what I mean? The whole room looks, and Sandler's like, "It's Jimmy." It was my name in the movie.
Yeah. How cool.
And then it's like Jennifer Aniston, and she gives me a hug, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I'm like light skinned Chandler on this show. You know what I mean? This movie, and then like the guy from Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Is there, and I go, oh shit, Gaston is here, you know what I mean? And then Sandler goes, oh yeah, that's like your bit, you know. So he had seen my stand, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So he had seen like me do whatever my stand up on CONAN, you know. That's what they showed him. Man. So he's like, yeah, there's your guy, right? You know. And so he had like, you know, I was like, oh okay. So he like did his research. Like he didn't just. It wasn't on a whim.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love how much he still loves stand up.
Yeah.
He'll still catch sets and.
So that was a fun experience to do that. And so like I was in. What I love about that movie is I was in the first part. Like I'm the first voice you hear in that movie, and I'm in the first scene, the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is all people watch anyway on Netflix. You get me, so
yeah. Oh, great.
So now,
what were you gonna say about it though?
I like surprisingly liked it, because Adam Sandler did a few like Netflix films that just didn't hit, but
this one was funny. I thought.
Yeah,
so too. They're writing a sequel, I believe.
Oh, cool, man.
So because I went to Happy Madison for a thing, a meeting, and I was like. I was like, well, Jimmy's got to come back, right? So then, like, I took a picture with the producer, and he sent it to the writer.
Oh, nice.
Like, don't forget him.
I was Jimmy spinoff. People want to see a whole movie about Jimmy.
I know. I said it should be a two-hander. You know what I mean? Just me and, So, we'll see.
All right, cool.
Fun
thanks for doing the pod. This is Song of the Week. I always do a Song of the Week, man.
We're going to dance out to.
We're going to dance out to it. You don't have to dance. We're not really going to dance.
No one dances. Except Fahim.
We're figuring
We dance once the cameras are off.
Yeah,
it's
once
a weird
the cameras are off,
podcast.
then I dance in the dark. So this
Dancing in the dark.
The song is called Smoking Section, and it's by Steve Dries. And it's on the Fahim Anwar Dance Hour Spotify playlist. It'll be in the description. The link will be there.
By the way, you could play music?
No. Well, on the podcast, I can. If they're listening audio-wise, I'll put it at the end because it doesn't matter.
No.
But YouTube, because I can't monetize it if I put
which
it.
is ridiculous.
So, what are you going to do?
I know.
So I just won't do it.
I used to when I first. Oh, never mind.
But hey, you'll tune in for the next podcast and we'll talk about whatever this is.
Yeah. I'll be back.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Dance out.